Hello and welcome back to Clear Skye Thinking. Things are starting to look up a little for Alice now that she's made a friend, but let's see how the rest of day 2 will go. After our trip to Dunscath Castle, Ian takes us to a restaurant for lunch. The restaurant's about 6 miles away from the castle, so it doesn't take us all that long to get there. That looks nice. The restaurant is a neat whitewashed building which is located on the shore. There are trees everywhere, swaying in the breeze, and white seabirds in the air. The interior of the restaurant is made almost entirely of wood. The tables and chairs are all scuffed from age, but they've been wiped down with clean cloths so they shimmer. A few other diners are already seated at the tables, mostly old couples, but the restaurant's not particularly crowded. The room hums with a faint sound of conversation, but I can't quite make out the words. The individual sounds all blur together, like oil pastels. Could they be speaking in Gaelic? I wonder how many residents of Skye are fluent in the language. It doesn't seem all that useful. Isn't it a dying tongue? But then again, knowing the current market price of Alice and the Pirates Ghost Forest JSK isn't all that useful either. Yeah, well. Useless knowledge can still be fun knowledge. Whether they're speaking Gaelic or not, the language does quite sound pretty. Does sound quite pretty? It makes me think of fairies. This idle chatter, whether in English, Gaelic or something else, mingles with the noise of clinking cutlery and the faint, gentle sound of the waves on the shore. Ian greets the waitress with a cheery, "It's good to see you again, Emmy. How are you keeping?" And the waitress smiles back at him. "I'm doing good, Ian. Can't complain. Shall I show you to your seats?"
"That'd be just grand, thanks a lot, Emmy."
The waitress, Emmy, I guess her name is, leads us to a table at the back of the restaurant, which is situated in a cozy nook. There are windows on either side of us, and the weak sunlight filters through the glass so our wine glasses wink. The restaurant has a peculiar smell of cooked meat and sea salt and spiced rum. When I look out the window, I can see green hedgerows, trees, and the sea. The sea is hemmed in by distant mountains and covered in fog. I wonder if that's part of the... I should really one of these days look up how to pronounce it. Quilling? Which Ian pointed out during our trek to Dunscath. There's a bunch of different food on the menu, most of it fish. Yeah, nothing for me then, thank you. The headings in the menu are all printed in 2 languages, English first, then what I guess is Gaelic beneath it. The Gaelic rather gives itself away with all of its O's and I's and H's. There's a lot of strange symbols in there too, characters that'd look more at home in a French textbook. How are you supposed to pronounce any of this? Can Piper understand the strange arcane text? Can Ian? While I'm busy pondering what I want, Ian pontificates about the food as though he's the master of the house and the head chef.
The grubs here's great, Michael. I've been here loads of times, haven't I, Hilda? And it never fails to disappoint.
Oh yes, this restaurant is one of our favorites. The atmosphere is simply unbeatable.
The view is great, and that's to say nothing of the food. The ingredients are all locally sourced. You won't get fresher mussels across all of Skye. If you want a starter, you absolutely have to try the drumfern mussels in white wine. It'd be positively criminal not to. The smoked salmon's divine too, of course, and the beetroot jam that comes with the oatcakes is handmade. My, it certainly does sound good. I feel spoiled for choice. Do you want a starter, Ellie?
I'm not too fussed. After my mishap with the fish and chips yesterday, I don't know if I want to risk eating any more seafood. Understandable. I don't really like mussels anyway, and the salmon Ian's rhapsodizing over might be a dangerous pick. Maybe I'll go with the soup.
Soup? You've come all the way to Skye and you're going to have soup? You have to try the mussels, Ellie.
No, she really doesn't if she doesn't want to. It's totally fair. Ellie, I don't remember giving him permission to call me that. I'm alright, thank you. I don't like mussels very much.
What? You can't say that. When you've tried the mussels here, you'll be forced to eat your words. They're exquisite. I'm sure you've never tasted anything like them before. Why don't you try one or two? I'll order them for myself. You can have some of mine, because I'm such a nice guy. How does that sound?
It sounds unnecessary. Like it's still better than making her order the dish for herself, and sure, trying out new things can rarely be bad. But still, if you know you don't like mussels like I also don't like them, then just believe people. Come on. I scowl, then mumble. I'm old enough to know what I like to eat and what I don't. This has nothing to do with you. And there it is.
What was that?
Nothing. I sigh. I wish Ian wasn't sitting directly opposite me. It's hard to avoid his gaze without looking rude. His broad shoulders are blotting out the supposedly great view beyond the window, and most of the sunlight to boot. He's blotting out most of the conversation too. Thanks to Lord Ian, the rest of us are barely able to get a word in edgewise, even Hilda. I wonder what it'd be like being married to such a domineering man. I tried to imagine it, but I can't. It sounds awful. I only have to deal with Ian for a week, but Hilda and Piper have to live with him. How do they put up with it? I would have torn all my hair out a long time ago. But Piper doesn't seem at all upset by her father's antics. She doesn't even look embarrassed. Instead, she laughs and says in a mock-scolding tone, "Oh, Dad, you're doing that thing again."
What thing, sweetie?
The thing where you act like you know better than everybody else. Allie's right, she's not a little kid. She can decide what she wants for herself. Besides, I don't really like mussels either, you know.
I know you don't, and it still hurts me to this day. It's blasphemy.
Ian wags a finger in Piper's direction, but I think he's only joking. There's a smile on his face, and he doesn't seem mad.
I thought I was a good father, but I must have gone wrong somewhere. No daughter of mine could ever turn her nose up at mussels.
Sorry, Dad, but I'm definitely your daughter. I inherited your hair and your wacky sense of humor. But I didn't inherit your love of bivalve mollusks. Bivalve mollusks? Is that what mussels are? You learn something new every day. I don't think I'm going to have a starter. I need to save room for dessert. The sticky toffee pudding looks pretty good. Ooh, but the Kranakan looks good too. I can't decide. Oh? I got so caught up looking at the starters, I hadn't realized this place also had a substantial dessert menu. I flipped to the dessert menu. It's pretty standard, but the sticky toffee pudding does sound nice. I'm curious about this Cranachan though. I've never heard of it before, but the menu lists it as containing Chantilly cream and whiskey.
I've heard about it only very recently because it was mentioned in, what is it? That one, Scottish, or Still Wakes the Deep? Is that it? No, a game that's going around where people are also talking Scottish.
Alright, my curiosity's been piqued. I'll have to ask.
What's Cranachan? Also no idea if I'm pronouncing that right, of course.
It's a Scottish thing. It sounds fancy, but it's basically a glass of whipped cream and raspberries. It's really good.
Simple as best, oftentimes.
And highly unhealthy. Everything that tastes good is unhealthy. What else is new?
Don't be so flippant, dear. I don't want you gorging yourself.
Don't think I haven't noticed that all the biscuits I bought last weekend have mysteriously disappeared. Hey! I didn't eat all the biscuits. Dad had some too.
Ian, you didn't, did you? Guilty as charged.
There, you see? It's not my fault. Not entirely, at least. You need to lighten up, Mom. Besides, it's the summer holiday. We're supposed to be relaxing. Dad's got a week off work and his old friends come to see us. Can't I have 2 desserts to celebrate?
You can have 1 dessert, Piper. 2 would be overkill.
But Mom...
But nothing. You're not a child.
Aw, jeez.
Piper slides down in her chair, defeated.
But these both look so good. I can't pick between them. Maybe I should do eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
While Piper's pondering, I glance through the menu. I think I'd rather have a dessert over a starter too. I might not be a sweet Lolita, and I don't care for fruit-patterned prints, but I like sweets just as much as the next girl. This might be a fun way to score a point off Horsey Hilda too. Maybe I'll hold off on a starter too then. I'll get the sticky toffee pudding and you can order the Cranachan, Piper. We can split it.
Yes. Oh, that's a great idea. Thanks, Ellie. The desserts here are really nice. You won't be disappointed. If I could, I'd only eat sweets.
Feel that. Not as much these days anymore, but I used to have a really big sweet tooth.
But my parents wouldn't approve. Mom's always nagging me to look after my teeth. Apparently, it's not healthy.
Piper makes little quotation marks with her fingers.
To eat too much junk food?
Well, it isn't. Your mother's right. It'd be a shame if those gnashes of yours got any cavities. You inherited them from me, after all.
And all of this rotten hair. Thanks a bunch, Dad.
Piper sticks out her tongue, and Ian laughs. Hilda, meanwhile, sighs. Maybe if you didn't eat so much sugar, you wouldn't be so hyper all the time.
Would you rather I be sad and gloomy then?
That's not what I meant. I just think you could stand to act like more of a lady. Our Piper, a lady? Not likely. Ian laughs, and so does Piper. She doesn't seem too bothered by her mother's snide remark, but her smile does look a little strained. Maybe it bothers her more than she's letting on.
Yeah, it sounds like something that she hears a lot, and that's gonna be annoying. Or maybe I'm thinking about it too much. No, keep being observant. In any case, the rest of the meal passes without any incident. I steer clear of any fish-based dishes and pick mushroom tagliatelle for my main. Piper has a very cheesy bacon-loaded venison burger, to her mother's disapproval. Then, for pudding, Piper and I split the toffee pudding and the Krennigan. I wasn't expecting much from the Krennigan, but it tastes surprisingly good. The cream is very rich and sweet, but the acidity of the raspberries helps balance it out. The toasted oats give the dessert some much-needed crunch, and the whiskey and honey drizzled throughout help finish it off. When Piper and I are finished, we both sit back, sated and smiling. I still can't stand Ian, and I'm not that struck on Hilda either, but having Piper around makes them easier to deal with. It's really thanks to her that Ian got off my case about the stupid mussels. She derailed the conversation pretty smoothly. I wonder if she did that for my sake. Swooping in with that hero save again. Was she trying to rescue me? Piper might look like her father, but she doesn't act like him. She's a lot more tactful. I was a little bemused when she asked me if she could be my friend, but I'm starting to warm to the idea. My sojourn in Skye might not be as miserable as I first feared. Not now I have an ally on my side. Ally? The second day survived the sucky second day. It wasn't that sucky, come on. I woke up early the following morning at about 6:30. I put on the blouse, dress and stockings I prepared the night before, then creep into the bathroom to style my hair and apply my makeup. I pause when I pass my father's room. The door's shut, but I can hear his heavy breathing emitting from within. He's still asleep. I can't say I blame him. We are on holiday. I wish I could sleep in too. Then just do it. I feel tired after everything we did yesterday. After our meal, Ian took us for yet another trek across the Sleet Peninsula. The path we took led us along the shore, past the sandy beach and up a rocky peak to a modern lighthouse. The walk took well over 2 hours, and it was murder on my poor feet. The path was uneven, worn with age, and it was unpleasantly muddy at points. My shoes were scuffed a good deal during this trial, and at the end of it, my tights were streaked with mud. I felt positively out of breath, my chest heaving and my forehead damp with perspiration. In my voluminous dress, I felt like a dirty lampshade in a charity shop. Oh dear. I'm not used to doing so much walking. I take public transport most places in London. It's convenient and it's far easier on my feet. Lolita shoes weren't exactly built for long, laborious expeditions. It's a wonder I didn't twist my ankle. Again. I'm still in one piece, thank God for small mercies, but my feet are still aching even now. I'm not sure if they'll ever recover. Or we at least don't have any blisters. I'd love to crawl back to bed, hide beneath the sheets and sleep. But I have work to do. I don't want to end up in the same situation I was yesterday, applying my makeup at the poorly lit bathroom mirror in under 10 minutes. I was in such a rush when it came to my mascara, which is a very important part of any Lolita look, that I poked myself in the eye with a wand twice. Oh, yep, that's the worst. Never rush putting on mascara. I don't want to irritate my eyes again and risk crying off all of my carefully applied makeup. Unfortunately, I still have to get ready in the grody bathroom. There aren't any alternatives. It's the only room in the house with a decent enough mirror. I couldn't exactly haul my floor-length mirror from Croydon to Skye. It wouldn't have fit in the car. The bathroom's not really the best place to fuss over my face. The lights are dim and one of the bulbs has burst entirely. That's why I usually take like a small-ish mirror with you. But oh well, what do I know? The green tiles, who wants an avocado-colored bathroom anyway, give my face a sickly tinge, and the mirror itself is spotted with age and cracked down the middle. Even a professional makeup artist would suffer in conditions like this. But we Lolitas must suffer for our art. I think most people who are really serious about this fashion are at least a little bit masochistic. Yeah. I apply my makeup very slowly and carefully, using the rays of the rising sun to guide my hand. The sunlight peeks in between the blinds and casts thin rectangles of light on the ugly avocado tiles. About an hour later, I'm finally finished with my craft. I deposit my used makeup back into my cute Kuromi patterned pouch, zip it up, and exit the room. My hair styled and my face painted, I'm ready for whatever horrors Ian Carter would like to throw at me. That's what I thought, at least. But when Ian arrives on our doorstep, Hilda and Piper and Tao, his announcement fills me with nothing short of dread. Oh boy.
Michael, it's great to see you again. Sorry we're a little earlier than we planned. I hope you weren't in the middle of eating breakfast. Oh no, we just finished actually. So what's on the itinerary today? Hilda's got it all planned out. I think you'll have a lot of fun, Michael. There'll be some great photo ops where we're going. And as for you, Ellie?
Oh wait, I need to look at the dress first.
Very elegant. It's not even like a daily Lolita look. She's really going overboard a bit, but
Not judging. Ian glances at me. I'm standing a few paces away from him, arms folded.
I see you're wearing another one of your pretty frocks. You sure like dressing up, don't you?
I'm not dressing up. I always dress like this.
Evidently. I see yesterday's little hike did nothing to deter you. I like a girl who can stick to her guns, but I'm not sure if these are the right clothes for today's little jaunt. Are you sure you don't want to pop off your togs and get changed into something more appropriate? We don't mind waiting. We don't mind waiting, do we, Hilda?
Not at all. I would hate for your lovely dress to get ruined. I'll be fine. Don't worry about you. Don't worry about me. What's going on today? I can read, I swear. I don't know what's on today's agenda, but I have precisely zero desire to get changed. Not when I labored over this look for so long. That would be a complete waste. See, I get for her to want to remain with her style and look put together, whatever. But I am someone who likes to dress for the occasion, you know? I mean, one, I also like to be comfortable, so I wouldn't choose probably any Lolita look for whatever they're going to do. But knowing what we're going to do and like creating an outfit that fits that specifically, that's much more fun to me, so I don't quite vibe with her there. But to each their own. There's no point wearing a full face of makeup if you're going to complement it with a faded My Little Pony t-shirt and a pair of old leggings. Agree to disagree. That's my motto at least, and I'm sticking to it.
I appreciate your concern, but Ellie won't listen. She never does. I told her the same thing myself, but it was like water off a duck's back. Stubborn, is she? She must be like Priya. Yes, well... Dead cuffs. I suppose in a sense she's quite like her mother. But in other ways, she's not. Priya was much more practical.
My mother was so practical, she refused to force a smile and stay in a loveless marriage, unlike some of my friends' endlessly arguing parents. She filed for a divorce instead. Honestly, better a happy divorce than an unhappy marriage. All the way. Piper looks at me curiously, then whispers under her breath. Who's Priya? My mother. Ooh, I was wondering about her. Why isn't she here? Did something happen to her? Nothing bad, no. She and Dad just got divorced. Dad always makes it sound like she's died though. I think it's his way of coping. Ah. Piper nods and doesn't press any further. I appreciate that about her. She might be forward, but at least she's not pushy enough to ask too many personal questions.
Well, you can keep that frock of yours on if you want, Ellie, but don't blame me if it gets dirty.
Ian tips back his head and laughs, like the fat policeman from the old song. Wait. Not that Ian's fat, he's just stocky, I guess. Built like a barn door. It must be all the muscles. Okay.
We'll be doing a bit more walking today, up the Borerag. It's an old village that was cleared out in the 1850s to make room for sheep.
As if Skye doesn't have enough of those already.
The houses are still there, or what remains of them at least. The people are all long gone though. It's a bit of a ghost village.
Fun, okay.
There's something a bit sad about all those old abandoned homes. But it's also interesting. It's got some real history. I can tell you about it when we get there.
I'll bet he can. I've no doubts that Ian the Walking Encyclopedia is simply itching to offload all his worldly wisdom upon us like a wise old king of yore.
It's built right on the edge of Loch Icehort too. Icehort? It's got some great views. We'll have to trek for a bit to get there though. I hope you've all got your walking boots ready.
Ian looks at me pointedly, and I look away from him. You can really only blame him for so long when you decide, upon explicit warning, that you might want to dress differently and put on proper shoes. And that's all on you, Ellie. I'm still wearing the frilly dresses which I'm so fond of, but I'll concede to this point at least. Oh. My shoes just weren't built for long walks across the Scottish Highlands, and I don't want to damage them more than I have already. I guess I'll wear my old beat-up trainers. You know, you could always get some comfortable boots. Like there's a line where boots can be comfortable but still look fairly elegant to go with dresses. Try it. For now at least. They'll clash horribly with my dress, but a small fashion faux pas is better than twisting my ankle. Yes. Besides, it's not like there'll be anybody in Borag to judge my fashion sense or lack of. If Ian's to be believed, there'll be nobody else there. Apart from the sheep. There are far too many sheep in Skye. Pretty. Borag, as it turns out, is rather eerie. Ian called it a ghost town, and though I hate to agree with him on anything, I think it's quite an apt description. Calling it a town might be a bit of an exaggeration, though. Exaggeration. Jeez. I've kept count of the skeletal buildings as we've passed them by, and there's about 20 of them. That's not enough to constitute a fully fledged town. Even village seems like too generous a term. According to one of Ian's many lectures, this was a labourers' village. The 120-odd men and women who lived here in the past were crofters, farmhands and fishermen.
The residents of this village were evicted by Lord MacDonald. Does that name sound familiar? It should. In 1853, so more sheep could be kept here. Some of the families stayed in Skye, while others emigrated abroad. A handful of these families resettled in Australia. Some were successful in their journey, but others were less so. A fever broke out on one of these boats, the HMS Hercules, and many of her passengers died. I'm not sure how many of Borag's descendants survived to this day. They had rotten luck by the sounds of it. It must have been rough living way back then, without anything in the way of social security. Skye's ruling clan could ask you to move, and you'd have no choice but to obey. You wouldn't be reimbursed, of course. The stories say that those who remained in Skye had a rum deal of it. Some were unable to find work, and they couldn't feed their families. Imagine losing everything you've worked for in an instant, all for the sake of a few sheep.
I mean, things still kind of happen like that, even it's not over sheep, right?
It makes you appreciate everything we have today.
Yes, but again, shit can happen today as well, just differently. That's what Ian has to say on the matter, for those of us who like a bit of backstory to go with their scenic Scottish ruins. I'm not really sure how I feel about his lecturing, though. I don't like the smug, pompous way he describes things, as though he's an infallible font of all worldly knowledge. But Borag's history is kind of interesting. This village is so desolate, it's hard to imagine it was ever a community. The remnants of those homes are left behind, the walls still standing, but the people who lived here have been scattered across the globe. Some of these people died protracted, ignoble deaths while searching for better lives, and others struggled to make a living in their own homeland. They were all betrayed by their own people, their peaceful lives sold out for the sake of a few sheep. Ian says we should be thankful for all we have now, but this sort of thing still happens to this day. Thank you. It can happen anywhere. I shiver. This village is starting to give me the creeps, and I don't just mean it in a vague horror movie sense. This is a site of a real human tragedy. People were driven from their homes for no reason beyond turning over a profit. These homes are still standing in bits and pieces, but the families are gone. The cool wind tugs at the hem of my dress and my neatly styled fringe. I usually hate it when my hair gets mussed up, but for once, I'm not thinking about my appearance. Instead, I'm thinking about...
Guess who?
Huh? Darkness descends. I feel a pair of hands clamp down against my eyes from behind, and I cry out. I'm under attack. I was so lost in my thoughts I didn't expect to be assaulted. But it doesn't take me long to figure out who my assailant is. Piper, is that you? That's right, you got it. Piper moves her hands off my face and I spin to face her, scowling. I want to ask her what her deal is, but she intercepts me before I can get a single word out. Are you alright? You've been staring off into the distance for ages. I tried to talk to you, but you totally blanked me. I did? Uh-huh. You looked very, very serious. Just like this. Piper pulls a mock stoic face, her lips pursed into a thin line, her brow furrowed. She can't keep it off for long, however, before she starts giggling. Her laughter soon fades, however, when I refuse to join in. A little more somber now, she peers at me and says, "Is something wrong?" No, not really. I was just thinking. This place is a little depressing. Just a little? Piper smiles and stretches. I think it's spooky myself. I reckon it'd be a good place to shoot a horror movie, especially in the winter when it gets all foggy. Can you imagine it? I'd rather not. I don't like horror movies. No? That's a shame. I'm into that kind of thing. Horror movies and creepypastas and stuff. My kind of girl. Some of them are too much even for me, though. I spend all night reading these gruesome stories, and then I can't get to sleep. What about you, Ellie? What sort of films do you like?
Well, are we gonna mention Kamikaze Girls? I can't exactly tell Piper my movie tastes start and stop at Kamikaze Girls.
Yes, there we go. I don't want to sound pretentious, but I doubt she's ever heard of it.
I don't really watch movies. I prefer TV shows instead. If stuff like Creamy Mommy and Sailor Moon count as TV shows, I don't know if you can find it airing on TV now. I'm pretty into magical girl anime, particularly shows from the 80s and 90s. I also like some older shoujo series like Dear Brother and Marmalade Boy. I'm not sure if Piper can relate, but she's certainly struggling to find some common ground. Yeah, then just tell her all of that, even if she's never heard of it. Just make conversation. And like, people who are genuinely interested in you will listen to you talk about stuff that you're into. Come on, open up.
TV shows? You mean like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones?
Oh no, I can already see we have a conflict in interests. I really, desperately don't want her to talk about Game of Thrones, but...
I was pretty into GOT. I used to watch it with my dad, though it was kinda awkward with all the sex and violence. I was hyped for the last season, but it was a bit of a disappointment. What did you think of it?
I haven't seen it actually.
Same. No? That's a surprise. Most of my classmates were into it too. I kind of started watching it to fit in. Fitting in's kinda important when you live in a teeny tiny place like Skye. But then I got hooked.
Piper giggles and scratches her cheek with her finger.
Well, if you've not seen Game of Thrones, what about Lord of the Rings? Those movies are super popular.
I shake my head and Piper's shoulders slump. She looks deflated.
No, that's the wrong way to go about it. If someone hasn't seen something, you just say, okay, let's watch it, then I can watch your reaction. That's fun. Come on. No way, I can't believe it. I thought everybody had watched Lord of the Rings.
As you can see, I'm not everybody. I like pretty, elegant, aesthetic things. And while Orlando Bloom might meet a couple of those qualifications, he's hardly magical girl material. That's a fun mental picture.
I don't like the dirt and the mud. Why would I want to watch it blown up on a big screen? I guess you're right. You're not everybody. The way you dress is definitely unique.
So, we're back on this topic, are we? I thought we'd exhausted this already.
Well, you're not giving the people anything else to work with.
Evidently not. I know my clothes are unusual, but I don't dress like this because I want people to interrogate me. Fair. I do it because it's fun and it makes me feel good. I try not to let the naysayers, and believe me, there are a lot of them, get to me, but sometimes the double or triple takes, the rolled eyes and the shouted insults across the street can get to me. I don't think Piper's like that, but I still feel tense. To my relief, however, her questions aren't intrusive. She just seems curious.
You said your dresses were expensive yesterday, didn't you?
They can be, if you buy brand clothes. Knockoffs and replicas are a little cheaper.
They don't need to be knockoffs, there are also cheaper indie brands that still do nice quality. Come on. Like those fake Gucci bags you can buy on eBay? My mom has one of those, but she tells all her pals it's the real deal. Don't let anybody know. It's her darkest secret.
That's so silly,
but okay.
Piper presses her index finger against her lips, swearing me to silence, and I find myself smiling.
So, how do you afford all those clothes, if you don't mind me asking? Do you have super rich relatives or something?
Not really. We're doing alright, I guess. Dad's job isn't the most profitable, but Mom sends us money over every month to help with the sky-high rent. If it wasn't for her, we'd be in a bit of a sticky situation. Everything in London's so expensive. I saved up my pocket money, my birthday money, and my Christmas money. I try not to buy too much frivolous stuff. I have a part-time job too.
A job? You do?
Yeah, it's not very glamorous. I just work at Claire's a couple of days a week. It doesn't pay great, but it's something.
Wow, that's still kind of cool. I've never had a job before. I've thought about it, but it's not really possible living out here. All the stores are over in Porchy. I live too far away and the public transport isn't good enough. I'm not old enough to drive either. I'm kinda trapped, at least until I can get my license. Mom's been trying to get me to volunteer at the same charity store she does. She says it'll be good for my CV, but I'm not too keen. I spend enough time with her as it is.
I can sympathize with Piper here. Hilda's not overbearing in quite the same way Ian is, but the way she tutted at Piper over her lunch yesterday made her parenting style pretty obvious. She does seem quite strict.
She's horribly strict. She works part-time as a teaching assistant in Porchy High School. She wanted more hours, but they didn't have the funding.
Or so I heard.
Mom started volunteering a while ago so she could get out of the house a bit more. Since then, she's been asking, more like nagging, me to join her. But why would I? I have nothing against the Red Cross, but I don't want to stack books and organize shelves with my mom scrutinizing each and every little thing. That'd be just...
Piper shudders.
You get where I'm coming from, right?
I get it. I don't know if I'd want to work with her either.
Thanks, Ellie. I knew you'd understand. She means well, but she's always getting on my case. And that's another thing. It's not enough that she's always getting on my case at home. She works at the only school on the island, so she breathes down my neck there too. On Mondays and Wednesdays at least. Skye's small, so you can't help rubbing shoulders with everyone. It's easy to get on each other's nerves, even your own family. When Mom gets on my nerves, or I get on her nerves, there's nowhere we can really go. We're all kind of trapped together, I guess. If I had any friends, I guess I could go stay at their house for a few nights, but that's a no-go.
Piper smiles ruefully.
Sometimes living on Skye can feel kind of claustrophobic. But it's also kinda lonely. I mean, look at this place.
Piper gestures to the remains of Borerac. The crumbling stone walls look sadder and more desolate than ever, half swallowed by moss and creeping vines. Like Dunscaith Castle, it looks like nature's doing its best to drag these vestiges of human civilization back into the dirt.
Whenever I come here, it always makes me think about how empty Skye is. There's a lot of hills and lochs, but there's not much else. It's fun to come here for a day or two, to take a look around. But living here can be pretty stifling. Even the people who lived here in the 1850s tried to escape to Australia, but they didn't get all that far.
The wind blows the tall, unkempt grass around my ankles. In the distance, I can see undulating hills. Sheep graze among them, gnawing on blades of grass, the black heads dipped. Though it's in the middle of summer, the peaks of these hills are half hidden by mist. Everything in Skye seems to be faintly misty and out of focus, like a photo with a thumb pressed against the lens. The mist suggests that there might be something more, lurking just a little further beyond. But that's wishful thinking. There's nothing. It's so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. I can't see any other tourists. There are no dog walkers. I can't even see my own dad or Piper's parents. Right now, it's just the two of us, all alone. Borerac's ruins are peaceful in a way, but Piper's right. They're empty and isolated along with it. The people of Borerac might have been upset when they were asked to leave all those years ago, but perhaps Piper's envious of them. Does she wish she could leave too?
These sites must be new to you, but I've been to them a bunch of times with Mom and Dad. There's nowhere else to go on the weekends unless we take a trip to the mainland. Scotland itself's not all that big, but Edinburgh and Glasgow are massive compared to this place. Since so few people live out here, you've got to work really hard to fit in. Otherwise, your life will be miserable. I do my best, but it doesn't seem to work. Sometimes, I think I'm not cut out for making friends. That's why I'm making such an effort with you. I don't want to waste this chance. And I don't want you to feel as unwelcome as I did when I first moved here. I know how much that sucks.
Piper smiles at me. It's not her usual big toothy grin. This is slightly more reserved, a little sweeter. Maybe it's more genuine. Piper might resemble her father, at least superficially, but I can't see much of Ian in her smile right now. It's as though the spectre of Ian has finally been banished, leaving the real Piper behind.
You won't be here much longer, so do you want to hang out this evening? I could show you around Art Bazaar. Granted, there's not much of Art Bazaar to show off, but the beach isn't bad. I found jellyfish there sometimes, and crabs. I hate crabs. I like walking there sometimes after I get into arguments with my mother. It helps take my mind off things. What do you say?
Well, I cross my arms, pondering. I don't really like beaches. They're too sunny and they're filled with screaming children, and I don't want to risk getting my clothes all sandy either. I feel like with what we've seen so far, the first two issues are not really issues in these areas. I can't imagine that the beach near Art Bazaar will be crawling with tourists, though. Not if it's anything like Dunscape Castle or Borirac. Exactly. I doubt it'll be all that hot either. The weather's been decidedly balmy these past 3 days, temperate enough to justify wearing long or short sleeves. I'm not going to wear my fancy shoes either. I've long since downgraded to an old pair of Nikes. There's really no reason why I should refuse Piper's offer. I'm fond of her, and I'd like to know more about her. She seems oddly solitary despite being so cheery. In that sense, maybe she's a little like Borirac. Nothing can be done for this village, or the people who lived here. It's too late to help them. It's not too late to help Piper, though. I already agreed to be a friend. I don't want to go back on my word, even if we have pretty different tastes when it comes to clothes and entertainment. I want to make an effort, like I do every day with my appearance, so... Alright, that sounds fine with me. I doubt the guided tour of Art Bazaar will take all that long, but it'll be nice to walk around a little.
You really think that?
Piper grins.
I thought that you thought that Skye was a dump.
I never said that. Not in so many words, at least. Was it really that obvious?
Just a little. You're not good at hiding your disdain. But I guess you don't have as much practice as I do.
It's fine. I didn't like Skye at first, but I think I'm starting to warm to it. It's a lot prettier than I expected, and it might be kind of fun to look around with you. Piper looks at me. I look back at her. Her cheeks are starting to turn pink, and I think mine are too. Did I really just say that? That was so cheesy. It was like a line from a sappy romance manga. I've never said anything like that to anybody before. But Piper, to my immense relief, takes it in her stride. She doesn't tease me. Instead, she smiles.
Alright then, let's meet up this evening when we've worked through Mom's super fun itinerary. It's a date.
Oh, a date indeed. Okay, I think we're going to look at this date next time. I don't want to get these to make these parts too long.
But yeah, things are starting to look up. We're slowly, very slowly, getting to know Pipe and getting closer to her. Like, again, I would wish that Alice would be a bit more open, but we cannot hope for so much so fast. It's good that there's a bit of a slow development there, really. It's just the, what is it, 3rd day now? With the first day being all travel, so 2nd proper day. Yeah, things are looking up. Yeah, not much else to say from my side. Yeah, if you have any thoughts, I'd appreciate if you could share them in the comments down below. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.